bringing that beat, because we got a whole heap of people here to get busy with a freestyle. We got my man Daniel, we got Fresh B from Beast Control, we got S Blank Self Defense, Be Cool, Top Secret. My man Daniel, you up first, boy.
And let's say the mainstream media is already covering it. That's cool. However, if I cover the shit, like same thing, like let's say some rappers or something to get into an incident, right? And I cover the story after I catch it on CP20 or 24 or something.
Yeah.
I'll get the DMs. Yo, why are you talking about the man damn? Like, technically, I got this from CP24.
Yeah, but those people complaining, are they watching CP24? They're watching you. So they're not seen in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Right? You're the streets.
I never, sometimes I forget about that part.
Right? You have to remember that.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't, like, but you're right, though. You're right about you're going to face more scrutiny. It's because who you are and what you're covering. Right? You're a black man covering hip hop.
Yeah.
Right? Send Susie from Sudbury, send her downtown Toronto, let her cover it. It's great. All her friends, look at Susie go. Oh my God, she was there.
Yeah.
Yay, what a great article. What a great story.
Yeah, she really got to tap into a different scenery.
Right? Or not even, they acting like it's theirs. Like now they're acting like they created it and it's their shit.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a serious problem that's happening right now in the industry. When poor Friday Ricky Dred, who's been in it from time, right?
Yeah.
Went on vacation, came back, still in it.
Yeah.
Reinvented himself, going hard. You're still looked at as like, no, I'd rather get my sources from Susie from Sudbury.
Yeah.
She's the one working at the record label, signing all the rappers.
Why is that, man? Why is there still, like, even before we get into our conversation, right?
Yeah.
Why is there still that outside, like, they want to leave a lot of the people who have the information in their brain on the outside, right? Because those people that you talk about who get on the inside, usually they have to go and do like a lot of extra research to find out things that we already know.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So why is it? Like, why is that such a separation?
That specific example, why did the Toronto police have to investigate themselves to tell us, oh, you know what? There is disproportionate numbers here. No fucking kidding. We've been telling you that for decades.
Yeah.
Not years, decades. You feel me? So it's the same thing, right? They're part of a system, right?
Yeah.
Don't ever get it twisted. Street culture will dictate pop culture. Always. It always has and it always will, right?
Yeah.
Pop culture, right? We don't run pop culture. We create it. We become it, but we don't run it. Right? So until we start running it more, then the things will change. It's just last year, right? Or the beginning of this year, Universal finally created a black music or a black, what's the word I'm looking for? Department.
Yeah, like an urban music department.
Yes, an urban music department. Finally. Right?
Yeah.
After the summer 2020, the whole world changed.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You're saying that there's only a urban music department at Universal now in 2021?
Yes.
What am I freaking hearing right now, bro?
I'm telling you, man.
Oh, man.
They never had anybody to market black music, but now they've hired Big C to like take over that. Right? So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things, and that's what we forget, right? That's what a lot of people forget. Even when you look at like, I don't know, it's like just now, like the people who enslaved us, there's still some that are living. You feel me?
Yeah.
Right?
So like great grandfathers and
yeah. So we're not out of it yet, right? So this is all to say back to your question. It's because Johnny, right, from the suburbs, got a good education, went to school, studied media, perhaps, right? Then his parents sent him to the big city to live, or to after a couple years after school.
Yeah.
Right, paying for his apartment. He's living downtown. You know, he's living the dream. He's downtown hipster, right, with this education. Right, he loves hip hop because he grew up on it. He was influenced by it. He bucks into someone who happens to work at Sony Music. They exchange words, and next thing you know, he's a head of a department, or he's an A&R signing urban artists.
Yeah.
Right? Or deciding who gets on a stage at a festival.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you, that's how it works. Right?
Yeah, and you know, like when you lay it out like that, it's pretty straightforward. Like, it's like, duh, right? But like, it kind of has to get laid out to actually like.
Exactly.
Oh, that's why.
Right? You know what's funny is that sometimes, I think I made a post or a comment online just a week ago. I said, sometimes it just takes an OG to lay it out for you. And I got that because a few days prior, my big homie Dalton Higgins hit me up.
Salute.
Right? And we were talking about some things, and he said to me, he goes, what you don't understand is I make my own guap. I don't have to play by the same rules.
Yeah.
And I was like, bing. I said, now it all makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the past, I've gotten in trouble, and even like throughout my career, like I've gotten in trouble for speaking my mind and saying things and maybe doing things a little different. But it's because I make my own money, and I've played the game, and I'm at the point where I don't have to play the game anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I am the game now. Right? And I say what I want. Right? I make my own guap. I have a career. So I don't have to follow the same rules that you do. Not you, but the next man does.
Yeah, in general.
To get to where they want to get. I'm already there.
Yeah.
I can help you get there. Right? And I feel like that's my responsibility. That's our responsibility. The older we get, we have to like pass our knowledge on and pull mans up with us.
Yeah.
Right? And with you, like a platform like you have, right? Like, yeah, you're going to cover the controversy stuff, right? But really, as a man, as an adult, my opinion is that you have a responsibility to also educate and help, right? Because without help, you just get lost, right? Everybody needs help. You have to humble yourself sometimes, especially when mans are extending their hand to you.
No, that's real.
And that's a problem we have in the hood sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, listen, let's introduce this for the people who are in the listening audience, because the people in the listening audience, they're hearing jewels already, and they're like, holy, the jewelry store is already open, right?
Open.
And then there's the people in the viewing audience who are watching, and they're like, oh, okay, I see who that is. You know what I'm saying?
And there's probably something that are like, who's that nigga?
Yeah,
who the fuck is that?
So some of the younger bucks might be like, okay, these guys are about to get into the old head talk. But young heads, y'all need to make sure to stay tuned and pay attention, because I'm about to have a conversation here with a legend in the game, somebody who's worked in front of the scenes and behind the scenes, right? And we're going to talk about all of the different evolutions that he's had in the game of this music game, the urban game, and being able to get into these corporate offices and, represent for our culture, right? So with no further ado, we have East Park Pro founder.
Yes.
Right? The man in the building, the connector of things, Chris Jackson, a.k.a. Chris Got Rocks in the building.
Respect Friday, man. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you,
it's
man.
It's about goddamn time.
Man. Listen, it's all about the stars aligning.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I've been digging deeper into my solo interviews where I'm having in-depth conversations more than interviews. Right. So I really appreciate you coming through and having this conversation with me today.
Yeah, man.
Where did we buck last time? Like, because there's been a few industry events.
It was Phoenix.
It was the Phoenix.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the show, but
it was
all of our friends were there. Yeah.
It was because there was two shows I was at Phoenix. There was the Brass Tacks, and then there was the one that started from scratch was putting together.
I don't know if Scratch put it together, but it had Jelly. JB was there.
Yes,
that one.
Yes. And it brought back some nostalgia to me, because like I remember us bucking at a lot of like events that you were putting on back in the days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Well, we're gonna get to that. You know what I'm saying? Can you give us a description of what you do in the scene, just in general, before we delve deep into the different pockets.
Right. So I wear a lot of different hats, really. It's hard. When people ask me that question, it's hard for me to break it down.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they ask me, when I have to explain what I do at CBC, because I wear a lot of hats there too.
Yeah.
Right? So today I got the fluorescent yellow hat on. And what do I do? Again, I do a lot. But like you said at the beginning, a connector, like I'm a plug, right?
Yeah.
I'm the plug, bro. Like I connect people. I have a long history in the urban music scene. To give you the beginning times, I'm credited with putting out the first hip hop record out of Canada in 1986 with a group called the Get Loose Crew.
Okay.
Out of Flemington Park. And that was just the year before Mishi and Maestro put out their records, who I was working with Maestro at the time as well. So a lot of people may know that or may not know that, but Maestro, we go way back.
I know.
Right? And we're good friends.
Yeah.
Right? Same with Mishi. So I'm from that era, right? And, you know, I represent the park, Flemington Park.
Yeah.
That's where the East Park comes from. Right?
Okay.
And the pro is just keep it pro. We can get into that a little later.
Yeah.
And then just through time, you know, you're a kid growing up and kids look up to things and want to be someone and they're running around having fun, causing trouble. I was no different, right? I was playing sports. But then this rap music just like grabbed all of us, right? And we all had like relations with people, like connections with people in New York, or so they'd come back with mixtapes and they'd play us like Red Alert and Mr. Magic, and, you know, and stuff like that. And then you were introduced to like the different beefs and you really learned and became immersed in this new music that was our music and represented us. You feel me?
Yeah.
And as a kid, you know, if you're really about that life, then you're about it and you want to be it. Right? And what I mean by that is like, I was so vain when I was a kid. Like they used to have like Right On magazine.
I remember that.
You remember Right On?
I have one in the drawer over here.
I wish I kept all those magazines. At one point I was like, I got to get rid of this shit. I can't keep moving it.
Yeah.
And I got rid of all those archives. But, you know, so different magazines like that where they'd have your favorite hip hop artists and big pictures and articles, right? So I would cut out my favorite artists, like LL or Salt and Pepper, and I would put them on the wall in my basement. Sometimes in my room, but the basement that we're, you know, straight from the underground, it's the basement. That's the spot, right? So had a little room in the basement and my walls were plastered with all these pictures. You know, I was a DJ. So that's where my turntables were.
Yeah. DJ Gel.
Yes. I did your research.
I do my research.
That's it. Yeah. I used to have Jerry curls, man.
That's how you got the name DJ Gel? Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's stop there. Flemington Park.
Yes.
Let's go back to like when you're like in that teenage time.
Yes.
What was a young Chris Jackson like in Flemington Park? Before DJ Gel.
Yeah, before DJ Gel in Flemington Park, I was a gallus.
All light skin and shit.
I'm telling you, the light skin privilege, bro. Yeah, I was a little shy though, too, to be honest with you. Like I won't front. I'm a grown ass man now, so I can say that, right? I was a shy kid and I was a quiet kid. You feel me? Because you have to understand, and I don't know how many people come on here and talk about their true real life and their real life stories, but again, I'm an adult, so I feel comfortable doing that, and I encourage other people to just be real.
No, for sure.
So having said that, like I was adopted from birth, and I always felt like I was, you know, I had a mother and father growing up and they loved me. You know, I had brothers and sisters and they loved me to no end, but I always felt like I was a bit on the outside. I was different. You know what I mean? So that made me shy and quiet, but I was an observer.
Yeah.
Like I watch things and I figure things out and I see, you know, I'm able to know what's going on and what's going to happen. And okay, I'm not going to fuck with that guy because I can tell that's not the right guy or that, right? So I like watching things and shit, where was I going with this?
Being a young
kid in Flemington Park.
Flemington, and just to ask, When you were adopted by were your parents living in Flemington Park at the time?
They were not. They were
Okay.
not. Right. We were out. We were in actually Rexdale.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in Rexdale, and that's kind of funny. It's funny how the universe works. And I say that because I'm messing with this young cat now, Thelonious, and he's from Rexdale.
Okay.
And,
Full circle.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I just clued into that.
Yeah.
And that's why I took such a liking to him, right? Because again, the universe works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just thinking, right, I'm going off track, but I'm thinking that was the connection. That's what drew me to him. So I'm getting behind this kid because he's really got a lot of talent.
Yeah. So
right.
You're in this family in the Rex.
Yes.
What was the reason that the family moved from Rexdale all the way to the other side of town into the east?
It wasn't even that. We didn't even reach the east yet. Okay. My story is deep, bro. Right? Because when I was living in the Rex, like I was adopted into the family into the Rex.
Okay.
Right. So I spent a few years there. I have some memories of being a kid there, you know, running around. I remember stepping on a board in the park that had a nail, went in my foot. So I had to go to a hospital, get shot. So I have memories of being a kid in the Rex. And then my dad, adopted dad, he owned property in Bobcaygeon. And we would always go there in the summer for vacation. We used to have a little trailer, but it was a lot of property he owned. I don't know how he got it. Right? Shit was cheap then, and he was smart. He's an entrepreneur. Right? My mom decided, or my parents decided they wanted to move to Bobcaygeon and build a house. Right? So then we left Rexdale and moved to Bobcaygeon. So we went from the city to the country. Right? Which was a total like new environment. Right?
And you're around how old at this point?
As a kid, it's fun though.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're a kid and there's wildlife. And I don't even want to guess at the age, but I was like maybe
probably preteens.
5. Like way preteens. Like 5 to 7 maybe. Right? So we lived there while they were building the house. Big house. Spent a few years there. I went to school there. Had to get picked up by the bus. And that's when I first started seeing a lot of racism because there was actually a lot of Native children in my school that I went to. I think it was called Buckhorn, actually. Okay. And that's when I started seeing racism and stuff, right? And that's when people started asking me, what are you? What are you? And I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Because that was never really taught to me or drilled to me. I just knew I had 2 parents that loved me. And I had a brother, sister, whatever. So that's the first time I saw racism. Then we left there and then we moved back to the city.
Okay.
And we moved to the park. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I moved to the park and growing up in the park, I was just a kid that, you know, played sports. We hung out. We went to the resource center, the community center. We caused trouble. We had fun. Right?
Yeah.
Played organized sports. Started DJing, got into the music. The thing about the hood and growing up in the hood is like there's a family. It's a family. When you're on the streets, there's a family there with you. I don't know. It's not the same now. When people talk about fam, it's different. There's still family, but it's different, right? But we used to and we were all super creative. You know, we had dance crews and hip hop back in the day.
Yeah.
Like we could go to Jungle and we used to go to Rex and go to these different places and parties at the community center because sound systems would come in, Chic Dynasty and Sunshine and all these sounds, right? And they would have parties at the different community centers and everybody from the hoods. Just like when you watch these movies about New York, right? And the different boroughs and then they'd have the dance battles. Same shit, bro.
Yeah.
You know? And there was fights and knucklehead stuff, but it wasn't on that level that it's on now.
Yeah.
And when we had beef, it was like, yeah, all right, I'm challenging you to a rap battle.
Yeah.
And then your crew from Flemmo would come and post up, right? You know what I mean?
It's a real B-boy shit.
That's the first time I met MC Rumble. And that's, you know, a legend.
Salute to Rumble.
There was a party room party. So Hutchie, who again is a legend, Al Capone, who's responsible for bringing hundreds of acts across the border to Ron Nelson's events. All right. Ron Nelson was like the front man, but Hutchie was like the behind the scenes, putting it all together, getting the artists in Buffalo, driving them here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why Flemmo has such a connection because Hutchie's a Flemmo man. Howard Hughes is a Flemmo man, right? So Howard was with Chic Dynasty. Also, He produced Mishy's first records.
Yeah.
Right. So there was always a Flemo connection in the business of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like DJ Cash Money. There's an argument who invented the Transformer scratch.
Okay. Between Jazzy Jeff, right?
Between Jazzy Jeff, Cash Money, and I should know the other name, but there's a couple. But anyway, Cash Money, like when he was becoming popular, like Flemo was the first place he came and he hung out, right? And then he had a show at the concert hall and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah,
So Flemo always had ties with hip hop.
So what about in the DJ Gel times? Because you were a part of a rap group, but you were the DJ.
I was a DJ, I was a producer, I was the manager, I was the get it done guy.
What was the name of the rap group?
The Get Loose Crew.
Get Loose Crew.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, you know what? Honestly, I meant to bring a record for you because I have some still.
Yeah.
But I'll get you a record.
Please do.
So when this interview plays, you can like post it up in the side.
Yeah. Get Loose Crew, eh?
Yes.
That's some real 80s hip hop sounding shit, man.
And our big hit was called Wannabe.
Wow. I feel like I've heard of the Get Loose Crew from back in the days.
You probably have.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Probably have. Do your Googles, man.
You managed, or you were a manager for GCP Productions, Guilty Crime Productions?
I didn't necessarily manage GCP. So I was also part of a group called Beats Control, State of Mind. State of Mind is another big one, with S Blank. So Beats Control changed their name to why am I blanking out?
Well, dude, you got to remember, this is like years ago too.
Yeah,
man.
but that's my group. Oh, I said it already. State of Mind.
State of Mind.
Didn't I?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Wow. I don't know. I'm having a little brain fog right now. But to answer your question about GCP, so there's so much talent in the park. Right?
Yeah, and that's the group. And for the people who don't know, that's where JB came from.
Yes.
It was like a huge crew in the 90s or the early 90s. Guilty Crime Posse, because Posse, a mad amount of people were in that crew. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So break it down.
Yep. There's mad amount of people, mad amount of talent. And because I was the man in the park with the studio, all the talent would pass through my place. And I'd do the recording and record all these guys. Right? There was other studios around here and there, but Gels was the guy. Like he's a park man. That's the guy to go to. He's already in a couple groups that are doing things like hood celebrities. You know what I mean? So, and it is State of Mind. I don't know. Because I was getting confused with self-defense because I was with S Blank. So I was part of that too, right? I was DJ for self-defense. But then with State of Mind, I was like, again, the DJ, manager, producer, engineer, get it done guy. Get everything done, right? When Beats and Fresh B, they just wrote lyrics and rapped, and they were the rappers, and Beats was running in the streets, and they were cousins, right? And Fresh B was more like, we all ran in the streets, but there's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
Right? So we're recording GCP guys, doing tracks with them and everything, and we've got our records out. We're doing interviews on Much Music. So it's like they look up to us. They're younger cats. And then JB was the first one to get put on and
break
like be an artist. Break the pack. And it's because of his voice, man. He was so young and he had this really deep, commanding voice.
What you need.
Yeah, exactly. And he had this nice flow to it, right? So, so he got put on, and then through that, GCP just kept growing. And there was different groups within GCP. So I never officially managed GCP, but yeah, that's our crew. So whatever State of Mind was doing, GCP was like on the bill or there. The man's like Toba Chung, like rest in peace, Toba Chung.
Rest in peace.
You know what I'm saying? But I did manage JB. So I managed JB for a period of time.
Okay.
I managed Daniel. I managed Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
Right? So, and these are all like, if you do the yearage, right? The lineage of yearage, you'll see like, this guy's been consistently doing stuff and helping people, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, and we did things like Can't Repress the Cause, right? For fighting for our urban station. This is before G, before Flow, right? There was a license available, a frequency available. So, you have to put in your applications. So we were lobbying for a black own station to play black music.
Mhm.
And in the end, the CRTC awarded it to CBC to give them a second radio channel.
Yeah.
Right? And now that I work for CBC, I can't complain too much.
Yeah,
I mean, I can complain. I'm just being being silly. But at the time, it was like, what do you mean? Why are you giving them another channel?
Mhm.
And at that time, CBC wasn't really representing us either. So that's why there was so much hostility and frustration around the situation.
Yeah. And even like back then, you produced a song for Maestro and D Shan. Stop. What's
Don't
it called?
Play charade or
Don't play charades.
It's called charades,
but
like
charades. Sick when you do that. Holy.
Insert video clip here. You have to reach DJ Law for that clip. But yeah, man, it's because the Ministry of Health. See, that's what's changed a lot too. From back in the day, like when we're coming up and trying to do things and be rappers, like the Ministry of Health and the Toronto Police Force, and they were organizing tours of schools and taking us on them. Right? I was on a tour with HDV, the pimp on the microphone.
HDV,
right?
Holy shit.
Yeah, right? So HDV and self-defense, and I'm trying to think who else was on it that we would know that became something. There's a few of them, man, a few groups, but we would go to these people or answer contests. There would be a contest like, submit a song talking about AIDS.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's how that went down is S Blank submitted something and then he won. Oh yeah, he won the first year.
Okay.
Right? So then they did some promotions with him and whatnot, and he got some money and everything. And then the second year, the Ministry of Health wanted Maestro to do the song, but they wanted S Blank to produce it because it was like, last year's winners produced, and plus S Blank, we were doing things then.
Right.
We were like ghetto celebrities. So that's how that song came about. So S Blank and I both produced it.
Okay.
Right? Because we were a crew and Maestro was recording with us, and I brought him to studio, so we were friends. And it's funny with Maestro because he always calls me, and he still does once in a while, and be like, yo, Gel. Still calls me Gel. So like Mishi will call me Gel. Daniel calls me Gel. Like some people still call me Gel, right?
Wow.
But Maestro will call me once in a while, even from the East Coast, and he's like, yo, Gel, I wrote this new tune, you'll peep this. And then he just spit the lyrics for me. Or talk to me about concept, because he's a real concept guy.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were all concept artists back in the day, really. And I'll be like, yeah, dope. So that's what happened with Charades. He's like, yo, check out this song. I want to call it Charades. Like, like, get it? Like, don't charades, charades. And then he explained the concept. He spit some bars and he's like, yo, I want to get D-Shan on it because she was like, she was a female rapper that was popping. All right.
Yeah.
That's how that came about.
So then, like, not fast forwarding, but just a little bit in time, like 2009, let's say, you started working for CBC around that time.
I started in 2007.
06.
I started near the end of 2006.
Okay.
Just like a temporary in the Glen Gould studio.
Yeah. Because you had like little temporary positions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned the Glen Gould studio stuff, but like officially it was like 2009 around that time. No?
Nope. So I started temporary in the Glen Gould as like a technician, audio technician assisting on whatever, live shows or recordings. And then they offered me a year contract in 2007.
Okay.
And then before that year ended, they made me permanent. Right. So and I think it was November of 2007 is when I started a full-time at CBC.
That's dope. So so let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
And unpack this part of it. Because you got into doing the stuff at Glen Gould and you were doing art, you were working with audio and stuff like that, right?
Because I started as a DJ in the 80s. And I'm about that life.
Okay.
And I never finished that story. Let me real quickly while we wrap this.
Please do.
So if you think back, I talked about a story about taking pictures out of Right On magazine, putting them on my walls. I was so vain that, and the thing we did back in the days, we were always out taking pictures, posing up, B-boys posing, taking pictures with cameras, real cameras.
Yeah.
Right? Because phones didn't exist. Right? And being about that life. And then we developed them, right?
Yeah, like in dark rooms and shit like that.
I would blow them up to magazine size.
Wow.
Or full-size posters, right? And put them on my wall like I'm the star.
So you would make your own posters.
Exactly. And put it on the wall beside like Heavy D or, whoever, MC Shan or, Run DMC.
That's dope.
Right? I would even get a stencil. Back in the days, we used to make flyers by having this stencil that had letters and you'd scrape them off.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd scrape them onto the paper with the address or the DJ's name, and then photocopy them. That's how we made flyers. Wow. But I would take those stencils and I would stencil my name onto the picture, just like as if it was in Right On magazine.
So you were doing graphic designing before you could, before there was Photoshop.
Before there was graphic.
And even the word graphic designing, to be honest. That's crazy.
I never thought of that. That's hilarious.
Yo, I have the brain blowing up emoji.
Yeah.
That's happening to me right now, fam. That's crazy.
Well, because we were kids.
Yeah.
Right? We were just being kids. There was no pressure on us to be like an American rapper that's got tons of gold and talking about bitches. No. Big Biz Markie was picking boogers and having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was different. There was a different pressure on us. I mean, the life was still there, right? Like we used to walk in Dominion at the time, which is now called Metro.
Yeah.
Right? Get bags from the cashier and just fill them, walk around shelves, fill them up and walk out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they know, and that's just the life because you got to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but we were still kids when it came to the music thing and we wanted to be something. We wanted to, we did think that we were them. The same way I think a lot of kids are now. They see these American rappers, whether they're real thugs or drug dealers or not. I'm not here to talk about that part of it, but there's an image that's being portrayed by the industry. So the kids on the street here, they want to be like that.
Yeah.
Right? So they're emulating that, whether they're into it or not. And I have a 15-year-old son who raps the lyrics and acts all bad,
Yeah.
But he's not. He's a high-level and very intelligent soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's he loves the music. We listen to the same music.
Yeah.
Right? But
yeah.
He's not going that extra level where he's all G'd up.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be.
So even as you started working at CBC and time started going on, right? You started to dig back into the management, and you mentioned Danny O before, and you were managing Perfect Strangers, the group that he had with Promise.
Yep.
Right. So how did that come to be? And before that, you actually started your company, East Park Pro.
East Park Pro started in the 80s when I put out the Get Loose Crew record.
Okay, so that was already in existence.
It was East EAST Park Productions. That was the label. East Park Productions, EPP. Then through time, and we all reinvent ourselves and grow. Then I just shortened it to East, EAS, Entertainment and Sound. Park is always the representation of Flemo. So I'm always going to rep Flemo. And then the Pro is just the shortening of production, which later became my motto of Keep It Pro.
Keeping it pro.
Right?
Okay, I see the evolution there. Okay. So then you started the Big Ticket series in 2012.
2012, yes.
Right? And that was the monthly concert series DJ'd by my homie, our brother DJ Law.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
The DJ Law.
And bro, so many people I've seen come through and do some crazy shows on that stage. So I watched the Socrates show.
Right.
Das Effects.
Right.
The late great Fife Dog.
Fife, that was incredible. MOP. Yeah.
So first, let's start with what inspired you to start that series in the first place?
What inspired me to start that series is my passion for the music and the culture, and my growth and my work at CBC.
Okay,
that's what inspired it. Right. Then came, talking to Law, because Law hit me up and wanted to do something, a monthly something. Daniel hit me up about something. So those are the contributing factors. But CBC played a big role in it because I was out recording bands all over the country and in the States. I would go for South by Southwest and do live broadcasts, and I'm engineering and doing all this fun stuff because I guess you can't call it work when it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm meeting all the top bands, every genre, right? And that's the thing. I'm exposed to all these, I'm not just hip hop.
Right.
CBC tries to pigeonhole me like that, but I'm not. And they know that. but you still get put in that box. Anyway, right. So I'm exposed to all this great music, right? Recording film scores, like award-winning film scores.
Wow.
Right? Like Life of Pi.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, so that was done at the Gould.
Good
There's
book, too.
So
man.
many. Yeah, so many movies, right? So being out in clubs, the Horseshoe or whatever it is, recording all these indie bands, singer-songwriters, I started to notice a pattern, right? Not just the pattern of these are the people, Serena Ryder or whoever that CBC records and puts on air, but the pattern of how they're treated as opposed to Black artists. Right. But I also noticed the pattern of how we treat them. And when I say them, I mean like engineers, club owners, bartenders, right? So at first, my, I hope you got a couple cards because I got stories for days.
Listen, I can record 3 hours of audio and video, right. No problem. We're good over here.
Nice. So my first thought process was, I'm sitting in a truck outside of El Macombo at the time or some venue, I don't know. And I'm thinking, man, I wish we did more with hip hop and they really knew how deep hip hop was, like how deep our history is, right? And not just record the radio friendly artists like Classified, Chaos, Kanon, right?
Yeah.
Like the radio, CBC radio friendly rappers, Shad. There's no shots at them either. I love Shad.
Because you've had them on them stages too.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. It's my family, these are my people, my friends, my colleagues, right? So I'm not here putting shots. You'll know when I put a shot at someone. Trust. So actually, I introduced CBC to Rich Kid, by the way.
Wow.
Rich will tell you that. He may forget, but I was actually in Texas, and I introduced Rich to James Fast, who was an executive, or not James Fast, James. I forgot his last name. James something, but he was an executive producer at the time of Radio 3.
Okay.
So that's why I was there with Radio 3 doing live to airs and whatnot. And I said, oh, this is Rich Kid. He's got a lot of great music. And he was like, yeah, we play some of your stuff. And I'm like, well, you should record one of his shows. And then from there, they did their research and then paid Rich and recorded shows. And then Rich became that. He became in that circle. He entered that circle, that right. CBC circle, right? So, and when you think about it, when you listen back to all this is how the dots get put together, right? Like Rich made that CBC connection first. Right? Then what did Rich do? He was in another group, right?
Yeah.
He was in
Natural Born Strangers.
No, before that with
Junior T.
No, the white guy. Sorry, he's
Sunreal.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I forget the name of the group that he was in with, but it was.
What was it
Sunreal.
called? It was called.
Hold on, I'll do a quick.
Anyway, so but as a producer, Rich is a smart guy and he knows people, so he got in this group with Sunreal, right? Sunreal. Oh, another CBC friendly rapper, right? But then you bring in. Then Rich continues to grow and he brings other people in, and now these other artists they have relationships with CBC,
right? So
the reason I'm saying this because it is about connections and connecting the dots, and no one gets to where they are just like that. It's about knowing people and working hard. But back to the story. So I thought to myself, it would be great if CBC documented through performance the history of Canadian hip hop.
Right.
Because we're 30 years deep in it. It's 2011. We're like coming up on 30 years deep in it in this country.
Right.
And we have a really deep history from Dream Warriors to Ghetto Concept to Kanon. Because it was a big time around then for Kanon with Waving Flag.
And not to interrupt you, the Closers is the name of their group.
The Closers, yes.
The Closers.
Yes, the Closers.
Yeah, I just did a Google search on it.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the memory's not what it was.
No, that's cool, man. That's what I'm here for, yo. So
that's it.
Continue.
So
the concert series.
So before I did Big Ticket, I said to CBC, I think we should do this.
Right.
I think we should do a big live concert and get all the artists, hip hop artists from like Maestro up until now, which was Rima Major. She was like really hot coming out right then.
Yeah.
And Kanon, was really hot. And Drake was hosting the Junos the year. So long story short, they agreed to do this. Right? And Drake was hosting the Junos that year, which was 3 nights before the CBC show that I produced. And Drake was the only artist who turned down the offer to come.
I hope y'all are enjoying this interview, but I want to take a quick second to give a big shout out to our sponsors right here. Big salute to Astro Pink, always keeping us nice, always keeping us toasty with the best flour, best edibles in the market, the highest levels of THC that you can get over here in Toronto, and they deliver all over the city. Hit them up on their Instagram, astro_pink, all correctly spelled, or you can hit up their website for a massive selection of all their flowers and edibles and tinctures of anything that you need. That's My Astro Pink on their website. Again, that's myastropink.com, and you'll be able to get anything you need. Let them know that the We Love Hip Hop Boys sent you, and trust me, you will not be sorry. Astro Pink, thank you for sponsoring this episode. Let's go. Oh, man.
They said it doesn't matter how much money you offer him, he will not do this show. And then he got snubbed at the Junos because he hosted it and then didn't win.
Wow.
He was pissed. This is just behind the scenes stuff. He was like literally pissed at the Junos, like for using him to host. And then he was expected to win and he didn't.
Wait a minute. So he thought he was going to win an award when he went when he hosted that night?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. Right?
Jesus
I'm not going to host an award show that I'm nominated in a category for and not win. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And quick story, and I don't want to get into this at all, but there was a hip hop award show a few years ago in Calgary. Mike Boogie and I were asked to host. I was also nominated for Promoter of the Year, Big Ticket.
Right.
There was a couple other promoters nominated. I told the guy who wanted me to host, I said, I just want you to know I'm not coming out here to host this and lose, right? The strong arms on people sometimes and lose the award.
Yeah.
And he said, don't worry about it, right? Because it was based on votes though too, right?
Yeah.
So anything can happen when it's based on votes. And he's like, don't worry about it. I'm sure you're going to win. Because there was really nobody that could test the Big Ticket vibes.
The Big Ticket,
right?
It went on for a long space of time, all the way into like 2018.
Yeah. So it went for a long time. I want to go back to what I did with CBC for a second because it's important and it's kind of relevant right now because Drake did this big historical concert, which was amazing, right? And it was really good and it was great to see all the online hype and everything after the fact.
Yeah.
I just want to put it on record. I already did that in 2011. And so this is what I'm talking about. We did this thing at CBC called the Hip Hop Summit. And it was actually a month-long thing. There was a bunch of online stuff and there was a whole thing, right? There was different manifesto was involved in it, Jesse and all the boys, and there was different events. There was like panel discussions, all types of things happened, right? Dalton was, we brought Dalton in to like advise and help produce this on the back end and the media end, because, it's what he does. He's an author and publicist. So I was responsible for like producing the show and getting a lot of the artists, right? So we had Mishi, Maestro, Cardinal, Chaclair, Socrates, Ghetto Concept, Kanon, Chaos, Classified, Rima Major, who else? Rumble was there, Carlito was there, like Be Cool, Carlito. Who else performed? Scratch Bastard was a DJ. Starting from Scratch was a DJ.
Wow.
So those were my 2 house DJs. Did I say Chaos? Yeah, Chaos.
Yeah.
And that night was the first time. And, being a producer, I like to produce things, right? Like I even tell artists, I think these are the songs you should perform because I know the type of audience we get. I know how they'll react to these songs.
Yeah.
Or I know that you got a new video coming out, so you might as well perform the song, or you have a video. Like I produce shows and that's what producers do.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the ideas was it would be dope if like we did Backbone, but we had 2 other rappers who are like hot now. So the first time ever anybody else rapped Backbone was at this show and it was Shad. Well, Shad was on the bill. Shad performed.
Wow.
Right? So it was Shad and Chaos. Each did a verse. And then Maestro did a verse of Backbone. So I've been doing historical stuff, and I had all those people on my bill.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have Julie Black because Julie Black isn't a rapper, and it wasn't about...
It was a hip-hop show.
It wasn't about R&B that night.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got a fruit fly in here.
Fly's going crazy. My bad.
It's okay. So yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Like,
yeah,
these shows have happened before,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I did one pretty much very similar to what Drake did, except I don't have Drake's money. What I had to do, I had to go after the corporate money.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So being that
Sponsorships.
person on the inside, you learn. That's why I'm saying you have to watch and learn and listen and get involved. So my motive is, how can I take my position inside this corporation, the nation's broadcaster?
Yeah.
And how can I bring in urban? How can I lift up my culture, right? My hip hop culture and my hip hop people, right?
Yeah.
This was the first real step in doing that, was to create this, right? I didn't just put money in everybody's pocket who performed, right? Created something historical.
Yeah.
And uplifted people and created a moment the same way Drake did.
Mm-hmm.
And we need those moments.
Yeah.
And we need the reminders.
Even with the big ticket series to stay on that, right?
Yeah. Well, then after that, then it's like, hey, look what I did. I definitely want to do more of this. And then I started Big Ticket.
So even with that, like getting some of those acts that you had, like that we mentioned, like Fife and DOS Effects and stuff like that, what was like some of the process in like bringing some of the people in from the States? Because, you know, it's not easy to get the people from over here, but Big Ticket got so hot that it was like, I'm sure it wasn't hard to get the locals to perform. I was like dying to perform.
You're
you know
like, yo,
what I'm
when
saying?
you gonna put me on again?
Yeah.
Man?
it was like that.
Yeah.
But like, it's a different thing to get somebody to get across the border. Like,
Absolutely.
now you gotta be paying a little bit more money, all that type of shit.
Absolutely.
So like, can you give us a little bit of jewels about that process there?
Yeah. But that speaks volumes too to like what we created. And when I say we, I mean like me, you, the team, the girls at the door, DJ Law, everybody that performed, everybody that came out.
Yeah.
Right? Like we created Big Ticket together.
Yeah.
I just had an idea and knew how to execute it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that speaks volumes because Big Ticket reached across the border.
Yeah.
People knew about it. People wanted to come up and be part of that shit. I turned down hundreds of artists from the States.
Really?
Even Sonic Bids. I don't know if you know Sonic Bids.
I've heard the name.
Sonic Bids is one of these, I don't even know if it's still around, but it's one of these like online concert booking platforms.
Yeah.
So you sign up with a profile, you put your music up, bios, all that stuff, links to your website, pay a fee every year. And then you get listings of all these festivals and shows. And then you just apply to them and hope you get picked.
Right.
South by Southwest, North by Northeast, or Joe Blow's hip hop show or whatever. And you hope to get picked. They contacted me, this is an American company,
right,
and said, we would like you to advertise on Sonic Bids. And this is how it works. You get X% of everybody who applies to be on your show.
Wow.
Right? So I thought about it. I'm like, okay, this is a way to monetize and make more money, right? So I signed up to do that. So they started advertising each Big Ticket. All the requests I was getting was from American artists, like Buffalo, right? Chicago, New York,
Detroit,
Philly, Detroit, right? They were coming in, right? A lot of them, I just wasn't feeling the music. It wasn't my shit. And Toronto wouldn't have liked it. I know what Toronto wants.
Yeah.
And there was a couple good ones. But then there's that whole process of like getting them over the border. And it's not even going to be worth their time because I'm not paying like that.
Yeah.
At that time, I'm not paying like that for this unsigned artist to come from Chicago to Toronto to perform 20 minutes at Big Ticket.
Yeah.
Right? However, I was making a little change off it, right? Because I was making my percent. But then, to be honest, I was like, this isn't fair, right?
Yeah.
Like I made a little bit of change, but I don't want to keep taking people's money knowing that I'm not going to book any of these acts.
Yeah.
So I just stopped doing the Sonic Bids thing. I think it was, who was it? You tell me, was Fife before DOS Effects?
I think Fife was after DOS Effects.
Right. So DOS was first, and their manager, I forget her name. I think it might have been Michelle, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Reached out to me and wanted to know if I'm interested in bringing DOS up here to do a show.
Wow.
And I'm like, fuck yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I said, of course. I'm like, how are we going to make that happen? What do they want? This and that. So she gave me her numbers and I said, well, these are the numbers I'm working with. This is what I could do. She's like, you know, and this includes hotel, whatever, transportation, all that, right? So we agreed, right? Somewhere in the middle. And then she's like, okay, so don't bother filling out the custom forms and all of that stuff. She goes, they're just going to cross the border and say that they're going to their cousin's or a friend's house for a birthday party. Right? And then while they're there, because they're going to say, are you going to perform? Oh, yeah, we're just going to do one song at this girl's party. Right? Because they got the laptops and the music and all that.
Yeah, because they're going to be traveling with equipment, right?
Yeah. Right? No DJ, just the two of them.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, okay, I don't know if that's going to work. Right? So I didn't have to give any money up front. I just had to pay for the tickets.
Okay.
To get here. Right? So I sent them their tickets. They showed up. You know, I had someone pick them up at the airport. Right? Brought them out to dinner when they got here. Did the show, and that was that. Right?
Wow.
And they got paid and they went on their way. But so that's to answer your question. That's how I brought DOS.
They slipped through, bro.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, exactly. The slip through, right?
That's sick.
Yeah, the slip through. So then the next one I did might have been Fife. I think the next one I did was Fife.
And for the people who don't, like, R.I.P. to the late great Fife, but you know, for the babies who don't who need to connect a name.
Yes.
Fife was one of the four members of a tribe called Quest. Okay, legendary group with Q-Tip, Jerobi, and Ali Shaheed Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? So do your Googles for the babies. But Fife Dog, legend. Okay, the 5-foot assassin. You know what I'm saying?
And I guess Q-Tip would be looked at as the leader of the group, but a lot of people think that Fife was a better rapper and I had better bars. I have to agree, man.
And he dropped solo albums after and he started doing his own thing, both of them.
Yeah, so go check him out for sure. Yeah, for real. Listen to his music.
So how'd you get Fife over
So
here?
Fife, this was when the Raptors were hot, right? So I got a call from an industry colleague, right? Friend. It's important to have friends and make professional relationships in this business. That's why I'm here today.
Yes.
Right? And so I got a call from somebody and say, yo, Fife Dog's coming to do the Raptors halftime show. He wants to know if there's anywhere else to perform. So I thought, do you want to do a big ticket with Fife? So I was like, say no more. Of course I do. All right? So again, I escaped all the paperwork because that was all done. I didn't even have to send him a plane ticket because he's already coming.
Going to be here.
Right?
Sick.
I just had to throw him some change, pick him up at the hotel. Right? And that's it. And that's exactly what happened. So that was the Fife Dog. We brought him over to Max FM and did an interview with them and I hooked up Maloney for Breaking Records Radio. So some people got some good stuff out of that, pictures and clips. And because that was the last time he ever performed in Canada. It was like one of his last shows.
Yeah.
And I was talking with his DJ about, because he had the album coming out and we knew about that. We talked about that. I talked to Fife about that. And he wanted to come back and do a tour with the record.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm your guy, man. Let's do it. So that, in my head, that was like the big ticket tour. Like that's what I was going to do.
With Fife Dog.
Yeah. But unfortunately that never happened. But you know, so that was the Fife. And then MOP. So then after that, and it's funny because even before that,
Posse.
I had other promoters now because of the success of Big Ticket. And you have to remember when we're talking like Fife and DOS Effects and MOP, this is like year 4, maybe year 5, year 4 for sure of Big Ticket, right? So this is 4 years strong every month.
So it's still relatively young in the Big Ticket series.
Yeah, but we kept evolving and this shows, right?
Yeah.
You know? So then other promoters started contacting me, people from the Phoenix. And again, this has always been my mandate, and this is one of my mandates for CBC. This is my mandate for my community. You know what I'm saying? and our people is stop the separation. We can all work together.
Right.
Industry folks, we can all work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I have a podcast, I'm not going to be mad and throw shade on your podcast.
Yeah.
There's plenty of food out there. We could work together. And you know what? I'm even going to promote your podcast for you on my show.
Yeah.
You know, because if we're airing our drop dates, they're not even the same. And guess what? When someone's done watching mine, they want to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell them, well, go check out Fridays because he's got some dope content.
Yeah.
You feel me? So this is how we have to work together. And I would tell promoters that too, right? So promoters from the Phoenix, right? And Jonathan Ramos and other people would hit me up and be like, hey, I'm doing this show. Do you want to do like a co-pro?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then I start co-presenting. Or they'll be like, hey, I got 20 tickets for you to give away.
Yeah.
So I would give tickets away at Big Ticket to these shows. Right?
Or I remember that.
Yeah. Or do some online promo, right?
Yeah.
To again, lift up the Big Ticket brand, but also my people and right. So I started working with other promoters, and then the MOP and what was the other one? The MOP show was a show with Ramos. It was a co-pro.
Right.
Right.
No, it was just MOP. We were like focused on MOP.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the MOP show was a co-pro with Ramos.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of his production company at the time.
It was Ramos Production.
Was it Ramos?
Like yeah.
But there's another name of it though. There's because it's huge now.
Yeah. But I remember at the time when it was like still underground and like even like we were doing shows.
And he was running that what was the club on Queen there? That we did it.
There was a club, there was one by Bathurst.
Yeah, Bathurst and Queen. What was that? Because that's where the show was.
Frick. I don't even remember what that
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Called. I can't remember the name.
Wow.
Anyway, so Ramos took care of all the paperwork for that.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? And then, we just dealt with the business on the other end.
Yeah. So even in that time with Big Ticket, you started evolving into getting into other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of full circle with your job working at CBC, right? You started Max FM.
Yes.
Right, and that evolved into Max TV.
Right.
So tell me in the beginnings of Max FM and what inspired that in the first place.
So what inspired that was Mike Boogie.
Okay.
That's actually his baby.
Mm-hmm.
He came to Big Ticket one day, and I think it was when we were doing Big Ticket at the Wrong Bar in Parkdale.
Wow,
and he
Wrong Bar.
Because, I know, right? Wrong bar. It's the right bar for Big Ticket. So again, Big Ticket was bubbling, and Mike Boogie had this idea. And for those of you who don't know, you can do your Googles. Mike Boogie, rapper out of Oshawa. He did some big things back in the days. He had his time. But again, he's hip hop. So he wanted to do something to contribute to hip hop and elevate it in this new era of digital and social media and websites. So he wanted to do an online radio station. So he came to me and said, hey man, nice to meet you. I want to do an online radio station.
Right.
And I asked people like, who should I talk to help with this? And they're like, you gotta talk to Chris Jackson, man. And like, he's doing Big Ticket. He knows all the artists and works at CBC and he's just the guy, right? So Boogie and I sat with his brother and we talked about his vision. And again, like Boogie had the idea, but he had no idea how to make it happen.
Right.
Right. So me having experience in the industry and being an ideas person, like, fuck yeah, you want to do a radio station? I can do that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, we talked about logistics, right? Anthony took care of all the financials for it, put the station together, executed that. We started getting DJs to do mixes. So we had mix shows. We started giving people their own radio show. Because again, this is an opportunity for me to provide an opportunity for other people, right? So like Dusty Wallace, right? That's my boy.
Or Trap.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. Trapper John.
Yes. So I said, yo, have a radio show. Promote you as an artist on this platform and play other music, right? And we did that with a lot of people. We gave a lot of people radio shows, right? Maloney had Breaking Records Radio, but he was doing it somewhere else. And he interviewed me for one of them. Yeah. And I love the way he's a good interviewer, just like yourself.
Thank you.
And I love the format of his show. And at that time I was like, bro, like forget where you are. Come over to Max. It'll be a better life over here.
Yeah.
And he jumped ship and he came with us. So that was one of our what's the word I'm looking for? Like main shows that we pushed because he's on it every week.
Yeah.
Right. So we had a lot of pre-recorded stuff, but we did a lot of live shows. You know, Mike Boogie and I did the shit show. Yeah. Which was, you know, kind of supposed to be like a funny show, shitting on people's music. I hosted the 3 to 6 show with DJ Shortcut.
Yeah. I think I was on it was like a Saturday show.
Yeah,
right?
you came on the 3 to 6. You were there. I interviewed you on that.
Did for the clip from that show kind of went viral. It went viral kind of early. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was a place for people to come and do interviews and do the same thing, have conversations and promote your material. Right? And then it was Anthony who said, I want to do a video side of this. So then that was Max TV. But again, how do we do it? So I had to execute that and lay those plans out. And you know, again, create content. I was creating content and recruiting shows and producing stuff. And, you know, switching and doing audio and doing cameras. And it's like a lot.
Like, I have so many different things that pop into my brain when you talk about like bringing something like that together. Because essentially, we don't have a lot of different urban radio stations and different stuff like that. So you and Mike Boogie did the undertaking of let's create a whole new spot for people to go and find urban music and culture. So there must have been a lot of obstacles in putting that kind of process or putting that type of platform together. Can you give us a few of those, like even just how to like put that together, like knowing, okay, a frequency or what
or how
frequency
you're going to
would
stream
take.
and
how you're going to stream. Where's our office going to be? Like
all
that's how you figured out a lot of stuff before that just was in front of everybody's face.
Exactly.
Right?
There's a lot that has to go on in the back end before it even happens. Right? So if you have a thought or an idea, don't be discouraged. Right? If you don't make it happen or you don't have the connection right away, just stay focused on it because it's going to take time and you have to have your plan and get all your ducks in a row, as they say, right? So there were a lot of obstacles and there's things like landlord, right? And neighbors complaining about loud music or smoke, right? You know what I mean? There's all of that. So those are all or leaky roofs. But we had to deal with leaky roofs for over a year. And I'm like, I told Anthony that they need to fix this because I can't bring people here to do interviews or TV shows. Again, like John from, again, I'm forgetting the company names. My bad. Video guy, but we did a show called TLDR.
Okay.
Right? Too Long Didn't Read. So it was like it was going to be the Canadian version of TMZ.
Okay.
Right? So we sat around the desks. We had topics. We talked about these topics. Sometimes we had a special guest come in. You know, we showed clips. So we created all this content to try and push and give people a platform, right? Give the camera guy an opportunity to shoot stuff and add it to his reel. You know what I'm saying? Give a sound guy an opportunity or whatever the case is. So we created a lot of content and there were a lot of obstacles, mostly with just like building itself. Everything else, you just got to get in line, right? And then what a lot of people didn't realize with this, right, is that once we created the app.
Yeah, because y'all made an app too.
Yeah, we were streaming directly into people's homes because it was part of Roku TV. So Anthony handled the back end. Anthony works in the film industry, and he does contracts and so he's very intelligent when it comes to the entertainment.
Right.
And he knows how to research and find things and get things done. So he handled all of that stuff. Right. So he managed to get Max TV on Roku. So if you buy a Roku TV, right, like a TV that has Roku, then you would have one of the apps on it would have been Max FM,
right?
Or Max TV,
automatically on your
TV. So when we look at our numbers, that's why the numbers were so high, and we could see like in the States there was huge numbers. In UK there was huge numbers. Italy was another spot. There was an Asian country. I don't want to misquote it. Right. So those were like our top countries for views.
From
Canada
was TV.
Or online.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't remember looking at the difference. Like, did this person listen from their TV or did they listen from a computer? Per se, right? It's all online. Right. It's just how are you consuming this content, or was it from an app from the phone? All I know is that we had 1.3 million listeners this month in a certain area.
That's crazy,
right? And but our numbers in Canada were disgustingly low, right? But for us, that was okay because we were still providing a platform, and somebody outside of Toronto, outside of Canada, was listening to the music the Shortcut was playing and the shit that I was talking. You know what I'm saying? So that made it worth it, but it was a lot to do because I was doing that, working full-time at CBC, right? Doing big ticket, right? And just living. So that's a lot. But that's my life. That's what I was about.
Yeah.
Right? So I just did it. And you don't really think about what you're doing. When we were kids, we just did it. We didn't think that we were going to create this. Cardi didn't know he was going to become this international superstar. Right? He wanted that, but he just did it.
Yeah.
And then when you get to levels and you're like, okay, now I'm learning more. And that's why I say watching. You learn a lot from watching. Man's gonna need to shut the fuck up sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants to talk and give their opinion. You know what it's like when you argue with the man on the block, right? Everybody's, fuck you, you're wrong. No, my opinion. Whoever's loudest is right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But real talk, sometimes we need to shut the fuck up and just have a real conversation.
Yeah. And listen.
And what are your thoughts? You know, like, what do you think? What is your opinion on this?
Yeah.
Right. And you be amazed at what you can learn.
And that's real talk right there.
That's all I deal with.
Real talk.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that Max FM didn't survive, man?
I know we were so ahead of the curve.
Yeah, man.
We were so ahead of the curve, man. And I think we didn't survive because after a while it became hard for me. It became hard for me to manage everything. Right. And it became hard for me to convince the other powers that this is the direction we need to go.
Right.
Right. And then get all those resources. Right. And again, it was just like we had 3 passionate people. So myself, Mike, and his brother who wanted to make it happen. Everybody, we gave a radio show. You know, Fresh Kills had a radio show. Like so many people. They were all passionate about what they did.
Yeah.
It's just that sometimes life gets in the way, right? Like, again, Anthony's still working full time. He's traveling all over the world because with work on film sets, right? And then when he's done that, he's on vacation, right? So I could never reach him, and things it was too much for me to do.
Yeah.
And Boogie started falling out of the picture. He wasn't doing things the same anymore. And then for me, it's like, I can't keep this afloat myself. It takes too much work. And then I don't have the backative to bring in what I need.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I'm like, it's time for me just to focus. And I had a kid, right? So I have another baby now in the family.
Yeah.
So I obviously want to spend my time there. So sometimes you have to let things go. So I just step back with the thought of returning, but it just turned out that no, there's enough other great things now.
Yeah.
Right. But we were ahead of the curve, bro.
Bro, it was the only thing it was basically the competition to Flow.
Yeah.
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 Because college radio wasn't really doing its thing anymore. There wasn't any college stations that was.
But even when you look at everybody like with podcasts and they're live streaming now, like, and we had the space for that. We had a separate room that we converted for a TV space to film stuff. And then we had the office and the radio part. Right. So we could have been pushing out things, you know, even with verses. Like we've had those discussions on what kind of content we want to create. So we've thought about those ideas. It's just that Swiss Beats and Timberland, boom, put it together.
First, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
So,
yo, listen, that was a really, really dope time. And even for everything that you've been able to do, like all the work in front of the scene, behind the scenes, right? And especially with the behind the scenes stuff that you do, right? Can you give some people like some advice on how they can prepare themselves to get like a job behind the scenes? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people who watch this network and they're a little bit rough around the edges, but they want to be able to get into the scene, get more involved, get more immersed, but they don't really know how to prepare themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, can you give some people a little bit of advice on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to figure out, you know what? This is a gem I'm going to give you right now, man.
Jewelry store is open.
Jesus. And you get this before you even read my book, okay? You got to work backwards. You feel me? And that's exactly what I did with every big ticket, right? Is I work backwards.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, for example, is what is my idea? And then what is the big picture of that? What do I see? Oh, I see a full house, right? Cheering and screaming, everybody having a good time. Okay, well, before they did that, why are they screaming? Because of the headliner that's on stage. Okay, well, who's the headliner? Who is the support act? Okay, what kind of promo happened? Right? So I'm going through all the steps backwards.
Yeah.
And before I know it, I'm at the front moving forward. But I already know what the end result is going to be because I've seen it. I've lived it. I've processed it.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And trust me, the universe works in mysterious ways, bro. But aside from that,
that's it.
You're to get in the industry. So that's a gem. That's really a gem. Think about that. Work backwards. Just mull over that for a bit.
Yeah.
Right? So now, same thing, you rob a bank. You got to think backwards. Right? How did you get away? Where did you go? What did you do with the money? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before you saw yourself on the beach. Like,
yeah.
So same thing.
It's
same
like
concept.
chess. It's chess. It's not checkers, bro.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but aside from that, I'm glad you said there's a lot of people that are rough around the edges, and that's okay. We're all rough around the edges, right? That's why we educate ourselves.
Yeah, you're a Flemo man, bro.
Exactly, right? And that'll come out, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I got to keep it pro, because if I want to rub shoulders with certain people, then I have to be able to maneuver on that level.
Yeah,
there has to be some type of in. You know what I mean? So you have to assess what it is you're doing, what you want to do, right? And then what are you passionate about? And how do you take that passion and create believers, right? And once you create a believer, then you have an in. And when I say believer, I don't mean the mandem on the block, right? I don't mean your boy that you chop with. I don't mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you really gotta like create a believer out of someone, because then that's your first in. Because now that believer, he's in a different circle than you.
Yeah.
Right? So now he has to convince another person. And now maybe that person's the one to say, okay, well, let him in this circle. And now you're in that circle with two believers. And now you got to start showing to get more believers. And now you're in other circles.
Yeah.
You feel me? So you got to build those relationships. You know what I'm saying? It's building those relationships and respecting those relationships. You know what I mean? And I can say that now because I've potentially damaged relationships in the past, but I've also mature and wise enough to know when I need to repair that, right? Especially if it caused somebody like personal hurt, and that wasn't my intention. Because trust me, I intentionally hurt people when I want to, right? And I'm not just saying physically, like mentally, because sometimes that's better to get at someone.
Yeah.
If they do you fucked up, it's like, okay, I see you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, where am I going with this?
But you're dropping some jewels for preparing themselves to be able to get into like a CBC themselves, or be able to get into like a Spotify or any of these different places that are popping up all over. Like there's a TikTok office out here.
Exactly. You know There's so many opportunities out there, and you're not going to get in it because you're a rapper. It's not going to happen. You get in it. You get in it because you're a rapper and you want to make the connections. Yeah. But the rapper is not going to get in. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
It's the government name person that
exactly.
you're regular.
That's the person who's going to get in. The person who saved up some guap and took a course in something, right? Because in taking a course, you're meeting teachers. 99% of the time, the teachers are in the industry in the course that you're taking.
Yes.
Therefore, they're going to connect you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and I think it's important for me to point out, because we haven't talked about that, is I did finally take some type of schooling, right? And it was right before I got the job at CBC.
Okay.
Because I've always, from that little kid in Flemo that was underage and couldn't work, from the time I was able to work, I worked full-time and did music.
Yeah.
Whatever I was working at, I was always the best at it, right? But I always did music because I was passionate, and that was my dream, right? So I've seen it. I've seen the end result. You feel me? So through different circumstances, at one point, I had to, actually, I'm going to tell you this story because it's kind of another gem, because we have to be witty, and we always have to keep our eye on the prize. Okay. So I was working a job, full-time job, get up every morning, go to work for 7:30 in the morning, work till like 3 or 3:30, I think. I don't know. Then I have the rest of the day to myself. It was convenient for me because from 3 on, I could do whatever I want.
Right.
And I could go to work with a couple hours sleep if I had to. Right. So I did that for about 10 years. And I had a lot of successes in music too. This is when I was like ghetto superstar. We were doing interviews on Much Music and going to award shows and just hanging out.
And you were still working in the 9 to 5?
And I was still working my 9 to 5.
Or 7 to 3.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, still working because I got to pay my rent at the time, right? I want to drive. I gotta pay that car note, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to work because the music industry wasn't paying.
Yeah.
So I lost that job, but I strategically lost that job because another job I was at years before that, the company was bought, and the new owner says to me, so he was deciding who he was going to keep on. He wanted to keep me because I'm amazing, everything I do. But he's like, so yeah, I understand you're in the music business too. And he goes, it's really hard to straddle the fence. You got to choose one or the other someday. So basically he was saying, you either got to choose my company and only be dedicated to me, or you should just dedicate yourself to music. Yeah. My attitude at that time, because I was still young, was probably in my 20s, maybe. I was like, whatever, man. Fuck you, can't tell me that. You don't know me. But then years later, I'm working this job now, and I don't want to do it anymore, right? Again, I'm at a point where I'm working with another group and things are really bubbling and I just want to do music. And I just want to do music. So I thought, how can I leave? Because I've been there long enough now that I'm like, get a little bit of pension money, right? And there's some things built up. And if you get laid off, you get a severance. So they give you money for how many years you get so much money, right? Yeah. But if you quit, you don't get that. Get nothing. So I'm like, fuck, how can I leave this job but take money with me? Yeah. So I just told my manager at the time straight up, like, I think I've run my course here, right? And I think it's time for me to move on, but I don't want to quit. Like, what can we do about that? And he's like, He goes, I don't know. He goes, well, the department's going to go through some changes. Let me see what I could do. I swear to God, like 2 weeks later, he calls me into his office and he's like, yeah, Chris, so this is Becky from HR. We're making some changes and today will be your last day. She just wants to talk to you about that. The smile you have is the smile that came on my face, bro. Trust me. That's crazy. So he leaves the room and Becky's like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, everything's great. What did you want to talk about? Right? She goes, well, they're getting rid of your position and blah, blah, blah. But we're going to give you this severance package, this many weeks pay and blah, blah, blah. If you just sign here. And I'm like, really? I'm smiling. Yeah. And she's like, yeah. She goes, is that okay? I'm like, no, everything's okay. She goes, okay, we'll just sign here. And I said, well, I'll take it home. I'll look at it. Yeah. And I'll get it back to you. Right? So I took it. I went home. Right? Looked at it. Talked to a few people. And somebody told me, no, you can get more money than that, man. You should be getting this many weeks. So I went back. I didn't even go back. I sent an email and said, I think to be fair, I should be getting this many weeks. And because it was a supervisor's position, it's going to be hard for me to find a position at that level again. So you should be giving me this kind of compensation. And they were like, okay. Okay. The corporations have money, bro.
Yeah.
They have money. And they have money for things like this.
Mm-hmm.
They may cry broke or whatever, but if you listen, people should just drive around for a bit and listen to 680 News, or right? And listen to the business news when it comes on. And when they talk about these corporations and how high it went one day and how low and how high and how much money they have in reserve. And then you'll start to realize there's money out there.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't just have to be the factors if we're talking about the music industry.
Yeah.
So that happened. So I got some money, right? I got some money to like go away. It's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I put in the universe. I wanted to happen. Okay. Now I was already working part-time, right? At a record store in Scarborough. So this is why I had the balls to make this move, is because through connections again, I started working part-time at a record store in Scarborough, handling the vinyl section. It's called the Music Library. And we were actually direct competitors to Eugene.
Okay.
Right? So Scratch. Yeah, so Scratch, Law, Ritz, all these guys would come and get the new promo records before they came out.
Yeah.
And if they couldn't get it from Eugene, they'd come to us. Or if they couldn't get it from us, they'd come to Eugene, and so on and so forth. So I started handling that. And that gave me the courage to be like, I could do this full time, because we also rent equipment, like speaker systems, and we provide sound systems for Caravana, for floats. So in the summertime in July, I'm out there hooking up sound systems on floats, and I got a Caravana story, the horriblest time of my life, but I won't go there for this interview. Right? But there was money there that I could make and not work this other job. And this job is more related to the music industry.
Yeah. You're
right.
In
So now I can take my artists that I'm working with, and now I can ship them to the US to record distributors and get them in DJ pools. And right. So this is my whole evolution of how I'm going to make this work for me.
Yeah.
So now I take some of that money and I invest a bit into the store, where I can become now a partner and make more money and make changes I want to make.
Yep.
So that went on for probably 2 years, maybe, about 2 years. But then the partner that I was working with, he let the alcohol get to him, and then he started like, we were a big, probably the biggest store for ticket sales to soca fests, right? And all these parties, not just during Caravana, but anytime like just Marshall Montana or any of them would come, like the music library was the place, right? So we would make a lot of money off of ticket sales, just like, because there's a service fee, $3, $5, whatever it is. That's pocket money. Yeah. Just to sell that promoter's ticket. So, but then he started taking the promoter's money and like wasting it and drinking it and doing foul shit and not paying bills. And he was behind on rent. And that's not good business, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So then I knew I had to step out of that. But also part of my plan when I left that job I was working at was to get the government to pay for me to go back to school. And I would take some kind of course in the music industry. Yeah. Because I never had that. Everything was self-taught. So me recording guys in my basement from Flemo and working in bigger studios and doing bigger records, that was all for me watching other engineers and just learning and reading manuals and buying stuff at Long and McQuaid. And, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. So in this process of working at the music library, I was also filling out the application, because I was laid off, to have the government pay me to go back to school and take a course. So I put the application in and told them what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to the Toronto Film School and take a recording arts technology course. Okay. So the application came back and said, no, denied. We don't think that there's enough jobs in the industry for you to do this. So me, I was devastated, because that had to work. That was my plan. Yeah. Right? There was no plan after that. So I was like, fuck that. This has got to work, man. Like, I have to get this. So I think I even wrote back and said that. I said, no, this has to work. Like, there are jobs in there. So they said, well, if you can prove to us that there'll be a job for you after your training, then we'll reconsider. So I was like, say no more, right?
Yeah.
You break out the Rolodex, right? Call my good friend Phil Dimitro at Lacquer Channel.
Wow.
Okay.
I've gotten a bunch of records mastered by him.
Right? Phil's my boy, man.
Yeah,
I was
me
one of
too.
the first hip hop records he ever mastered.
Salute to Phil.
Trust me.
So some of those records on the wall.
There you go.
That record there, the
Have you
Friday
looked
record,
at some of the stuff he's worked on?
I've been over to the studio.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Right? So I hit up my colleague, my friend, right? Hit up Phil and said, Phil, this is what's happening. I'm trying to go to school and get the government to pay for it. They don't think there's any jobs. Can you write me a letter saying that after I graduate, there'll be a job at Lacquer Channel for me? He's like, yeah, sure. He goes, you write it up. I'll read it over, put it on Lacquer Channel letterheads,
yeah,
and sign it. So I said, all right. So I wrote this letter, right? He might have made a couple of adjustments, right? I know he made a couple of adjustments. He signed it, sent it back to me. I sent it to the government. They sent me money to go to school. You feel me? So now I'm going to school and working at the music library, but I'm so invested into school and so confident that when I leave school, because again, like I'm connecting with all the teachers, I'm handing in my assignments, most of the kids there, because I'm older now, you feel me? So most of the kids there are straight out of high school and they play guitar at home and they want to be in a band.
Yeah.
Right? So they're out smoking weed between classes, coming in late, not finishing projects. I'm like, fuck that. I'm teacher's pet. I'm handing in my assignments. I'm soaking up all the information. I'm doing extra assignments, right? You know what I mean?
Really killing it.
There was one course. So back to the government. So long story short, there was one. So the government paid for me to go to school. Boom. That's kind of the moral of the story. Is I was focused and determined that they were going to do that. I didn't take no for an answer. Found out a way to convince them that it was the right decision.
Yeah.
And ultimately it was, because I've been at CBC for 16 years now.
Yeah.
Right. I think I might be in my 17th. Right. So it ultimately was the right decision. But I had to tell them that.
Yeah.
Because I knew this little dork sitting behind the desk, he doesn't know. You know how many papers he goes through?
Yeah.
So what makes you stand out? Right? So you're asking yourself, what is your in? You have to create your in. That's what I did. This guy at the office, he doesn't give two shits about me and if I have a music career or not. He thinks, no, it's not going to work.
And not only that, you have to create your in, you have to persevere. You have to be perseverant.
Exactly.
You have to be determined.
Yep.
Like you didn't take no for an answer.
Exactly.
One of the last few questions that I have here, right? What's something that you wish you knew now or wish you knew then that you know now with all the experience that you have in the game?
Not related to women? Yeah.
Outside of that.
What do I wish I knew then?
Yeah.
You know
that
what?
You know now, you're like, fuck, bro.
I'm going to leave you with this. Well, I don't know if I'm going to leave you, but I'm gonna answer it like this. And this is an answer that not only applies to the direct question, but it applies to a broader issue that we as a people have, because we've been taught to believe something.
Right.
And that knowledge that I wish I had then, or wish I had then that I have now, is that I'm not wrong. Right? I'm not wrong. Okay? I'm not wrong about anything that I think. I'm not wrong about any of my emotions and how I feel. And I'm not wrong about what I say.
Right.
Okay? And having said that, are there better ways to handle situations or better ways to talk to someone? Yeah. But I'm still not wrong for, like the other day, I was stuck in a traffic jam, make it a real short story, stuck in a traffic jam. Cops were there joking around with each other instead of directing traffic. I laid on my horn. This fucking guy comes over to me. Can I see your license? I'm like, no. For what? He's like, oh, you're disturbing the peace. Fuck you, disturbing the peace. Right? Anyway, we go back and forth. I'm like, oh, fuck you. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to give you a ticket for oh, disobeying an officer. I said, really? I said, I'll see you in court. I don't fucking care. Fuck off. I'm stuck in a traffic jam. I'm allowed to honk my horn. Yeah. And I'm using this type of language. And I'm like, I was pissed because I was in that line for a half an hour going the opposite direction of what I needed to go. Yeah. Because they're dumb shit, right? I want to like police. I try to, but they always act in a fucking way that they do something that makes you pissed off. So anyway, so that situation, after I left and I calmed down, I reflect. You always have to reflect on your day. So I reflected and I was like, man, I was super mad. Like I must have looked like an idiot. Yeah. Right? But I'm not wrong. I had to remind myself, I'm not wrong for having the opinion that I had and being angry. I'm not wrong for being angry. Could I have handled it better? Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Because you know what I did? I gave away my power. Right? So because of who I am now, I know how to handle my emotional intelligence. So I'm going to add that to I wish I knew what I wish I knew back then. Yeah. Is how to handle my emotional intelligence.
How to handle your emotional intelligence.
Right? Because I've been able to get myself out of a lot of situations, but I've got myself in a lot of situations that I didn't need to be in if I would have handled my emotional intelligence. And when you don't handle your emotional intelligence well, you give away your power. And when you give away your power, you don't have a voice. You have nothing to say. Right? For example, and I want to give an example so people can put them together. But this cop who's talking to me, clearly being a dick, he's filming. I want to point out though that he started recording after he said some instigating ignorant shit. Yeah. Then he's like, oh, I want to let you know that this is being recorded. I said, of course it's being recorded now that you said your shit. Yeah. So make sure people know that you said some ignorant shit before you started recording. Yeah. Carry on. Right? But I gave away my power by swearing at him and yelling and flipping him the bird and telling him to give me a ticket. Yeah. Because if he shows that video to someone, what are they going to see? They're going to see this angry fucking black guy screaming and yelling. Yeah. Right? And it doesn't matter what I want to say after that. I gave away my power. Yeah. They're just going to see that guy. They're not going to hear my logic that I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how right you are.
It doesn't matter. I gave away my power. But if I would have spoke to him more calmly and explained to him that I understand the law and I do not have to give you my license, right? I wouldn't have given away any power. Yeah. And I could have mind fucked him the same way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's why earlier when I said it's okay to mind fuck people sometimes. Because that's yelling at someone and being the loudest voice in the room is not always the way to get your point across, especially when you're trying to make a point, or even more so when you're upset about something, right? If you're upset about something and if anybody's in a relationship, you know, yelling ain't gonna solve the problem. Yeah. Because it's just gonna be like back and forth, both people yelling. Right? You need someone needs to remain calm and control their emotional intelligence and speak calmly and explain why you're upset. And then hopefully the second person calms down and then you guys solve the problem, you kiss and make up. Yeah. Right? So in short, so you have a little soundbite. If there was something that I know now that I wish I knew back then, was how to manage my emotional intelligence.
How to manage your emotional
and not second guess myself.
Yeah. Yeah. My last question is, what do you think your biggest accomplishment has been over the years?
My biggest accomplishment so far?
Yeah.
In life or?
Just with all the different business ventures that you have.
Just with all the stuff I've done? My biggest accomplishment. What I'm most proud of is the Hip Hop Summit, right? Because I had a vision and I approached a corporation and convinced them that this was the right thing to do. And I did everything. I did the story. And I was passionate about it. I made it happen. So I'm most proud of that. Sorry, what was the question? What am I?
Well, your biggest accomplishment.
So my biggest accomplishment? So I'm most proud of the Hip Hop Summit, but I think aside from saying something like, oh, not giving birth, but having a child, and besides something like that, like that's a given, right? Like family first.
Yeah, for sure.
Would be big ticket. And the reason, because it created so many relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So many people came to that event, artists who never met other artists, right? People who never met people. I know people who met at Big Ticket and got married.
Wow.
I'm telling you. So to me, I was able to touch in some way, have an effect and touch the most people and bring joy and provide a platform.
Mm-hmm.
And I resurrected artists' careers.
Yeah.
You feel me? I resurrected artists' careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eternia and Rochester. I'll name drop those two.
Yeah.
You feel me? And that's not a shot. I love Rochester. And I would go to, that's why he's been on Big Ticket like 5 times. Right? He's that guy, man. Like I really support that guy.
He's sick with it.
Right? But it wasn't until I premiered a new video of his, that he really started getting back into the scene and things started happening again. Right?
Yeah.
But Rochester is also a real artist, so he'll always be doing something.
Yeah.
Right? Eternia too. Eternia was kind of at a stage in her career where she was over it. And I actually had to convince her, no, just do Big Ticket, man. And then after that, she just got the bug again.
Yeah, and she linked up with dude from Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So it's all good. And same with the Hip Hop Summit. Maestro was at the end of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he said something very personal to me at the Hip Hop Summit. Right?
Yeah.
So I think what I'm most proud of is Big Ticket and touching people's lives in some way, and maybe changing them, helping them. Because I think we should all strive to do that in some way.
Yeah.
Right. And you're doing it. You're providing a platform for people.
Working on it, man.
Right.
Working on it, man.
You just gotta keep grinding, man. Get some of that corporate sponsorship behind you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even like we talked about off airs, like the other day on the phone, right? About, getting you in CBC or something, or some media company, and start producing real news entertainment stories.
Yeah, man. Well,
right? Like diversify the the portfolio.
Yeah, man. Because like what we do over here, like I love to do my research and really have engaging conversations with people like yourself, who are in the scene, who are helping to be pillars and helping to, put the foundation so that all of these artists are able to flourish. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time that, what we're doing behind the scenes, we gotta eat too, bro.
Of course we gotta eat. So that's up to you to and that's what I'm saying now too, because I have a career. So I have a salary every year. I have a salary, right? So I can do these other things and help other people out for not as much compensation.
Yeah.
Right? And that's my duty, I feel.
Yeah.
Right? I can also say things and get away with it that other people can't say.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to play by the same rules.
And that's important, man.
Yeah. So and I don't want people to take that in an ignorant way either. I'm not saying I can just be an ass. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you're coming up, you gotta pay your dues. You gotta be respectful.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what's missing.
And you have to create your own leverage.
You have to create your own leverage, right?
Yeah. Once you have a certain amount of leverage, then you can, say things. And sometimes if people are mad at it, you have enough leverage where they'll give you the grace to be like, you know what? I'll accept your apology, all these different things, rather than if you have no leverage, they're just like,
fuck this waste, you. Get out of here.
Get him out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick, fast. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man.
No, man.
Absolutely.
Listen, Chris, I really enjoyed having this conversation here. I think we probably locked in for 90 minutes, probably 2 hours.
Probably.
On this one
my phone was ringing, so that means that's the where are you? What's taking you so long?
But you know what? Well, for me and for our audience, especially for the audio listeners, because I salute to the audio listeners all the time, because those are the ones who are sitting in the office, earbuds in, driving the FedEx trucks and all those different things.
Yep.
Totally taking in the content from beginning to end.
Good.
And they really appreciate these stories, the jewels, all these different things that we've been able to have in this conversation here, fam.
Well, I'm happy to share. I'm glad you invited me. And if you're listening and you like what you heard, and if you got something from it, then share it. Let people know.
Man.
Let people know what Good Work Friday's doing too.
Thank you, brother.
That's what's up.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. But it's not about me. It's all about you. And I want you to let the people know where they can find you, social media wise, all that good stuff.
Yeah. You know what? Just hit me up at Big Ticket Pro on the gram. That's probably the easiest. And you can always email me. I'll give you the corporate email because it's easy to remember. It's Chris, CHRIS That's just, a dot, not the word dot. Jackson at cbc.ca. Just hit me up, man. Let me know that you were listening to Friday's podcast. And if you're an artist, send me music, because I am that guy that listens to people's music.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people ask me, what are you listening to now? And what I listen to now is what people send me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Obviously, I got my Sirius XM and my G98. It'll always be G98 to me, right? I like them. They play a lot of reggae and soca.
Yeah.
Right? But really what I listen to, other than like whatever's on the pop radio, is what people send me or what my 15-year-old listens to.
Yeah.
Back and forth to soccer, man. He's got some tunes still.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's big into the UK.
The drill niggas.
Yeah, the drill.
Yeah.
Drill that's the shit. I like that energy stuff,
No, man, I appreciate this conversation that you had with me here. And for the people who are listening also, I'm going to add on to that, all the music that y'all send me clean versions. I'll send them over to Chris, you know what I'm saying? And we'll connect the dots, as we say.
Yes,
you know
yes. Because there is a show, I just got to do one more plug, Friday. There is a show on CBC. It's called The Block.
Mm-hmm.
And they play black music. It's on 5 nights a week from 7 to 9.
Okay.
I actually produced a Juno special for them 2 years in a row.
Nice.
So the last 2 Junos, and you can find those online. Just type in The Block Junos and some shit will come up.
Mm-hmm.
But my cat Thelonious from Rexdale, he was on the last show.
Okay.
So I did one this year at Esco Levi, Trippy, Zen Soul, and I'm forgetting somebody. My bad. My apologies.
You'll probably hit us up in the comments.
Yeah, man. But watch out for Thelonious and send me music, send Friday music, and I'll send clean versions and I'll forward it over to The Block at CBC.
Scene. Another one in the vault right here. You know what I'm saying? Make sure for the people who are watching this on YouTube to hit the like, hit the share, you know what I'm saying? Hit the subscribe, and let's let the people know that the We Love Hip Hop Network is having some deep and insightful conversations in this mofo.
Yes.
All right? We are off of this. Deuces.